Alright, today we're gonna do a Watch Dogs 2 tier list. We're gonna rank things like combat, characters, main plot, side stories, and much more in our tier list ranking, so stay tuned. Let's start with the main plot. So, the main plot by itself is rather simple. You know the ending of the plot when you start the prologue mission, which is to bleed Bloom. Sure, there are a variety of missions where you do go to other corporations, sabotage them, but it's done because it hurts Bloom as well, since well they have contracts with each other, such as Galileo's satellite connections for Bloom or Noodle's internet footprint to help Bloom's bellwether algorithm. Of course, just because a plot line is simple does not mean it's bad per se. I found it fun and interesting exploring all these companies, and I felt genuinely connected to the dystopian thinking of solving crime before it happens and the whole mass surveillance fear. I thought the main plot message was an important one even 10 years later in 2026 and is getting increasingly relevant right with Palantir and everything. But at the same time, the missions start from finish weren't ending mind blowing. It just works, so I would give it a B plus rating. Okay, so this is where things get a bit ugly if you're a fan of Watch Dogs 2. I'm gonna be honest here, and I think I speak for the majority when I say this, but the character and the whole crew honestly suck. I know people intensely say that they intensely act goofy or it's a parody of San Francisco and such, but that's not really the problem. I felt like they were some co workers on a mission, not genuine friends who I cared about. It's like they put everyone in a different template for the sake of it, like Sitara's nerdy, hot tempered extrovert girl or Wrench the crazy guy with a mask and grenades and so on. I never felt a strong bond like I do with Witcher 3 characters or Cyberpunk's Johnny Silverhand and such. And the dialogue is nothing to write home about either. Not to mention, I liked T Bone as a character much more in the first Watch Dogs game. But here they just, added him casual in the squad for the sake of fan service and, just increasing the squad amount. I mean, T Bone is genuinely one of the most powerful people against Bloom. He wrote the literal algorithm, the bellwether algorithm. But he basically did nothing in the whole Watch Dogs 2 franchise. I mean, it's incredibly absurd while the main character runs errands for everyone for no good reason either. He just does it. At least Aiden Pierce had a reason. I mean, he's an anti hero and his niece got killed. But this guy, I mean, he just does it. And I didn't feel anything when Horito guy died either. So overall, I would rate the characters as C tier. They just exist for the sake of it, and the only reason I didn't give it lower is because they didn't. I mean, they weren't that annoying or had long dialogues that I got bored of, like in some of the really bad series. Alright, I think this is the best part of the whole game. I don't think I need to debate or convince everyone here, but they captured the whole San Francisco vibe so well, and it's probably the most alive world I have ever seen. The random NPCs on the road have their own chats or calls which are totally unique. If I randomly take a picture of a stranger, for example, they either pose or get angry at me. If I post a stranger there's a chance that he might, angrily hit me and so on. Like, I mean, the open world feels so real. My immersion was never broken by some random NPCs, unlike some other games, so it's just a straight S for open world. If you need a reason to play the game, this is it. Alright, so let's get into side missions. A lot of people watching are probably like me and actually try to finish every side mission before even progressing much into the main story. But honestly, again, the side missions are nothing to write home to. They feel safe and above average, just like Ubisoft does. It wants to appeal to everyone. I mean, at least I can't say I didn't feel repetitive like the usual Ubisoft slop, and all the side missions did feel varied and something new to do, but it's also because the game is under 30 hours, so you can't really feel repetition at such a low number. Of course, there are a few interesting side missions such as the Zodiac Killer, but again, it's not anything mind blowing. Overall, I would say the side missions deserve a B ranking just because they weren't repetitive and They explored the game's mechanics. It was fine, it did its job well. Now, this might be a bit of a controversial take of mine, but I really hate combat, and I even made a previous video of it. Because of the enemy reinforcement, and since there's no focus that slows down time like in the first game, a guns blazing approach is impossible or rather tedious and annoying. There's nothing that enjoyable about it because again the game wasn't meant for that type of combat, I guess, but it's still annoying. I mean, they didn't give an option. So we have to play stealth, right? But also stealth, the normal stealth is kind of better in parkour, but in other areas I would say Watchdog 2, I mean Watchdog 1 is much better. So the other option is to go for gadget stealth, which is to use your drone and RC to finish mission objectives. I mean, I won't deny I certainly felt like a hacker playing it because I was remotely located and I completed the whole objective without even stepping in the enemy hideout. But yeah, I really have mixed feelings with it, and the learning curve is honestly too steep. I really hated the game the first few hours and I almost deleted it several times. So yeah, I would give it a C tier ranking. I don't think it's objectively true, but for me personally, I couldn't bear it. This is the worst section of the entire game. The enemy AI is probably the worst enemy AI I've seen among all the games I played so far. And this is ridiculous because it includes games like Fallout 3, which came out, I believe, in 2008. I mean, just think about it. 2008 game is better than a 2016 game. That's crazy. Anyways, the enemies also don't have any variety and their AI sucks, so it's a straight F tier. It really brought the whole ranking down. Honestly, there are 4 DLCs in the game and they're fine. I hated the Automata DLC because it was just an AI driving and in the awful driving of Watch Dogs series. So I regret playing the DLC. It was absolute trash. So that is an F tier for me. As for Bad Medicine, it was okay as a DLC. It felt like any other side mission in the game. They thought bringing back Jodie from Watch Dogs 1 would help, but honestly, I'm not really fond of such fan service. There's not much to say about it because it's not that different, so it's C tier. Caustic Progress was actually overall better because the plot was interesting, since it was about injecting nanotech into homeless people and getting into and clearing up the corporate's research. But again, it felt weird while Ubisoft did this. I mean, Lenny and Marcus were clearly having a debate about using this data for something good, or else, the homeless people's death would have no meaning, right? I mean, at least they could extract this data and use it for the greater good. But they just fizzled out this discussion and Marcus erased it anyway. So, what was the point of this discussion? They should at least give us an ending option, right? Anyways, I would give this B tier. I would honestly given it a A tier if they actually had 2 options. But anyways, it was a little better than Bad Medicine, but nothing spectacular either. Fine, let's talk about Moscow Gambit, which came a little later. So I expected it would be better, but again, it felt like any other side mission. So it's a C tier again. So let's talk about ending Salvi. Well, I didn't mind ending. It felt safe and something we all anticipated. It felt like a Ubisoft ending. Dusan finally got caught and he got charged for the crimes he commits. And it's a nice touch that Marcus and T-Bone came to his home, just like Dusan came to Marcus when he sneaked into the, invite headquarters and got effed off. I mean, seriously. But it feels really unsatisfactory because nothing happened to Bloom at all. So what was the point? I expected the blasting of Bloom building or something far severe. But I mean, at the same time, I get it, right? They wanted to make Watch Dogs 3 and he the villain, so they spared Bloom for the sake of convenience, I guess. Anyways, I didn't think too much of the ending sequence, and it felt well safe and solid, so it's a B tier. Finally, let's end this ranking section by talking about the elephant in the room, the main character himself. Marcus is a decent, charming protagonist who's also reliable, and believable and relatable. But I don't know if it's bad writing or something, but I never felt truly bonded or, I felt he was a great character. Certainly, he was better. He's a better character than those cheesy side characters. But I don't know. It felt weird. By the way, some people say Aiden Pace doesn't feel good and is a 2D character, but there's no way. I mean, Aiden Pierce feels like a legend, whereas Marcus feels like a regular human being. So yeah. So I would give him a B tier. I think that's he was solid and fine. So overall, I would say the game ranking would be a B tier. I'm kind of annoyed that Ubisoft went for this sterile approach and did not make anything weird or unique. That makes Watchdog a Watchdog game. I hope Ubisoft realizes that appealing to everyone results to appealing to no one. Having a safe game like this will, certainly sell and will, well, you flat out the budget cost, but it'll never reach the heights that Witcher 3 or RDR 2 and other games can bring in. Can only say that Watch Dogs franchise getting ruined was already clear with this game.